Be more like you. Shine me, oh God. Wash me through and through. Just create in me a clean heart, so that I may worship you.
All right. Hello, everybody. Before we go into the word directly, I wanted to share a little bit, summarize some of the background. We're going to look at Deuteronomy 4 and 7 and Jeremiah 23:23, and I think 1Peter 3 and 3. Okay, Deuteronomy 4 and 7 says, "For what nation is there so great, who had God so nigh unto them, as the Lord our God is in all things that we call upon him for?" Deuteronomy 4 and 7 is a powerful reminder of God's closeness and faithfulness to his people. It highlights the unique privilege of having a God who is near and attentive when his people call upon him. This verse speaks to the intimate relationship between God and his chosen people, emphasizing his willingness to listen, guide, and provide for them. For believers today, it serves as encouragement to trust in God's presence and responsiveness in every aspect of life. No other nation or people have a God so near, loving, and faithful as the Lord is to those who seek him. In Deuteronomy 4 and 7, Moses is speaking to the Israelites. This chapter is part of a speech he gave before they entered the promised land. He was reminding them of God's faithfulness, the importance of obedience to his laws, and the privilege they had as a nation with God so near to them. Moses emphasized that no other nation had such a close relationship with their deity as Israel did with the Lord Yahweh, who answered them when they called upon him. It was a call to faithfulness and gratitude for God's presence. Okay. Gratitude for God's presence and guidance. 1 Peter 3:13. So we are going there. "And who is he that will harm you, if ye be followers of that which is good?" Context and meaning. In this verse, Peter is encouraging believers to remain steadfast in doing good, reassuring them that generally no one will harm them for doing what is right. While suffering for righteous sake is possible, this verse reminds Christians that living a godly life often leads to peace and favor with others. It also serves as a call to trust God, knowing that even if difficulties arise, he is in control and will ultimately reward faithfulness. It echoes Jesus' teaching that those who seek righteousness are blessed even in persecution. Okay, now I'm going to go to the John Gill. Peter, no, we don't want to go there. We want to go to Deuteronomy 4 and 7 first. And this is the link that you could use on your phone or computer. There's also an app for John Gill's Bible application. John Gill commentary. Okay. Deuteronomy 4 and 7. "For what nation is there so great, who hath God so nigh unto them, as the Lord our God is in all things that we call upon him for?" And, when you're in the commentary, it breaks down the verse piece by piece. "For what nation is there so great? Not so much for their number, for they were the fewest of all people, nor for the largeness of their territories. For the land there they were going to possess was but a small country, so it was not that, nor for their wealth and riches and warlike exploits, though they were not contemptible in either, but for their happy constitution in church and state, being directed and governed in both by laws which came immediately from God Himself, for their knowledge of divine things, and for spiritual blessings and privileges they were favored with, of which a special instance is given. I hope y'all can see this. Sometimes I can't see and I have stuff really large. Okay, who hath God so nigh unto them, as the Lord our God is, in all things that we call upon Him for. God was nigh unto them in respect of relation, being their covenant God and Father, and they his sons and daughters, to whom the adoption belonged, and with respect to place and presence, his tabernacle being in the midst of them, the seat of his Shekinah, or divine majesty, being in the most holy place between the cherubim over the mercy seat, and he going before them in the pillar of a cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night, and who might be applied unto all times for whatsoever they stood in need of, and who was always near unto them to give them advice and counsel, help and assistance, to hear their prayers and communicate unto them things temporal and spiritual. They temporal and spiritual stood in need of. And so the Lord is nigh to all that call upon him in faith, with fervency and in sincerity and truth. And herein the glory and greatness of a people of Israel lies in being nearly related to God, a people near unto him, both as to union and communion, and in having a communication of good things from him. God is both a God at hand and far off. He's not just near, he's everywhere. He's omnipresent. Okay, already unmuted myself. Now, Jeremiah 23 and 23. I was muting myself so I could cough. Then I unmuted myself. And 23. Am I a God at hand, saith the Lord, and not a God far off? Like only I can see what's near to me, which is everything because he's omnipresent. But some people, I guess think that out of sight, out of mind or something. You see everything all at once. Am I a God at hand, saith the Lord, or near, that is, in heaven, and only sees and hears and observes persons and things there, being near unto him, and not a God far off, that sees and hears and takes notice of persons and things at a distance, even on earth? The meaning is that he certainly was, and that persons and things on earth were as much under his cognizance and notice as persons and things in heaven, which was quite contrary to the notions of these atheistical prophets and people who, like heathens, thought that God did not concern himself about persons and things on earth. The Septuagint and Arabic versions render it without interrogative. I am a God near, said the Lord. Am I a God near? That's a misprint. Am I a God near, said the Lord, and not far off? The meaning is that God is alike near in one place as in another, which is a very great truth and a very comfortable one it is to the people of God, to whom he is near in all places. He's always around us, no matter where we go, and at all times. He is a present help in time of trouble. He is near them to hear their cries and grant their requests. He is near to give them assistance in a time of need and to deliver them out of their troubles, to afford them his gracious presence and to indulge them with communion with himself, to communicate all things to them, to speak comfortably to them, to take them by the hand and lead them in the way everlasting. He is at their right hand to uphold them with his, and to strengthen them with his strength in their souls, to advise and counsel and direct them, to rebuke their enemies and save them from them that condemn them. And indeed, there are no people like them who have God so nigh unto them in all things they call upon him for. And though he may seem at times to be afar off and stand a distance from them, when he hides his face, withdraws his gracious influences, does not appear at once for their relief in distress, but suffers them to be afflicted in one way or another, yet in reality he is not, but is nigh unto them when they call upon him. And this truth is as uncomfortable and dreadful to the wicked man who cannot go from his spirit or flee from his presence, which is everywhere, even heaven and hell, in the earth and seas, even in the uttermost parts of them. There his eye is upon them, and his right hand can reach them. He is omnipresent. He's everywhere at one time. He's omniscient. He knows everything. You can't give him any new information. He's omnipotent. He has all power, every single stitch of it. I, God, have created the world from the beginning, said the Lord, and I, God, will renew the world for the righteous. And we're going to go to 2 Peter. Uh-oh. I got 1 Peter 3 and 13. Okay. And some interpret the words of time as well as of place, as if the sense was, this, am I a God of late date, as the gods of the heathens are? No, I am not. Am I not a God from eternity who was before the world was and the creator of it, which they are not? Verily I am. But the former sense is best and most agreeable with the context and what follows. Hold up, let me get this together. What did I have? 1 Peter 3:13. Since I went over or introduced 1 Peter 3:13, um, go there. I'll just go there anyway. Write down. I'll write down 2 Peter. Okay. That's it's still good. It's still the word, still good. 1 Peter 3:13. And who is he that will harm you if ye be followers of that which is good? So we still need to know this. And who is he that will harm you or can harm you? God will not, for his eyes are upon the righteous to protect and defend them, and his ears are open to their cries to avenge them. He is on their side, and he is the only lawgiver that is able to save and to destroy. Christ will not, for when he came the first time, it was not to condemn, but people are constantly condemning one another, but to save. And when he comes a second time, though he will rule the wicked with a rod of iron and dash them in pieces as a potter's vessel, yet his people who are his jewels he will spare, as a man spares his only son. Good angels will not. These rejoice at the conversion and in the salvation of sinful men, and camp about the saints and are ministering spirits to them. Nor the devil, though he would devour, he cannot. For greater is he that is in the saints than he that is in the world. Nor can sin, for though it wars against them, it shall not have dominion over them. Sin will not control us. And though it often breaks in upon their peace and comfort, it cannot damn and destroy their souls. It cannot touch the souls of a saint. If you are a true believer, sin cannot put you in hell, you know. But as we get to know God, we're further and further away from our sin, but sin will always be present as long as you're breathing in and breathing out. Okay. Um, And though it often breaks upon their peace and comfort, it cannot damn and destroy their souls. Nothing can touch your souls once you are in God's hand, nor the law. For though it pronounces guilty and curses those that are under it, we're not under the law, we're under grace, and are the works of it. Yet since Christ has fulfilled it for his people, that debt has been paid for those who are God's people. He paid that price on the cross. So there's no curse for his people. By obeying its precepts and bearing its penalty, the curse. That was the penalty, the curse. Ain't no curse now. It lies not against them, nor can it inflict any punishment on them, nor the men of the world who hate and persecute the saints. These can do them no real harm. They cannot hurt their grace, which shines the brighter, being tried and proved in the furnace of affliction. They cannot destroy their peace and comfort by all the trouble they give them. All the harm they can do them is to their bodies. They can do none to their souls. And that's what's more important. People can hurt us, but they can't do anything to our souls. And even all the evil things they do to their bodies work together for their good. And they must be very wicked men that would do harm in any respect to such as behave well in states, cities, towns, or neighborhoods. If ye be followers of that which is good, of God, who is essentially, originally, and infinitely good, and does good to all his creatures, by imitating him in holiness and righteousness, in kindness, mercy, and beneficence, and of Christ, the good shepherd, following him in the exercise of grace, as of humility, love, patience, and in the discharge of duty, and of good men, the apostles of Christ, the first churches, faithful ministers, and all such who through faith and patience have inherited the promises, and that both in doctrine and practice, and of all good things, whatever is true, honest, just, pure, lovely, and of good report, particularly righteousness, godliness, faith, love, patience, and of meekness. Some copies of the Alexandrian copies and others read zealots or zealous of good works. Okay, so, a lot of times when I see people who proclaim to be Christians or whatever, and only God knows their faith, and they know whether or not they truly believe. The only thing, they get judged sometimes because of their behaviors and, judge the tree by the fruit it bears and such, but they have to be learned. A lot of Christians are unlearned. They know that they're saved and that's all they know. And they're unlearned according to the word. That's why we have to rightly divide the word of truth, because if you don't rightly divide it, then they're not really getting truth. And their maturity is what's holding them back. Their maturity is what's keeping them from being able to handle things that happen in their lives, understanding that God is in control of all things, because that's easy to say, but it may be harder to practice, especially if you're an immature saint. It's hard to say, well, God is in control of all things. I say all the time, God doesn't owe me anything. He doesn't owe me anyone. So I'm blessed to have them in my life for as long as I have them, or for as long as I have whatever that particular thing is. And that's maturity. But you have to get in the word, and you have to rightly divide the word in order to rightly apply it to your life. That's why there's no growth, okay, etc. So my only hope is to do whatever God tells me to do, and hope that somebody is impacted by it somehow. God bless you.
I need you to change me. Jesus, change me. Like only you can, Lord, change me. Is anybody out there need the Lord to change something about you? Change me. Whatever's not like